In the gritty streets of Liverpool, where hope was scarce and violence was a way of life, a boy named Billy Moore dreamed of being something more. But dreams in a city of broken promises often lead to dark places. This is the story of a fighter, a criminal, and a man who clawed his way back from the edge of despair. From the chaos of 1980s Liverpool to the neon-lit nights of Chiang Mai, from the hell of a Thai prison to the quiet embrace of a new family. Billy Moore's journey asks a searing question. Can a man outrun his demons, or will they always claim him? Join us as we unravel the life of Billy Moore, a tale of pain, addiction, and the fight for a second chance.
A boy in a broken city.
In the shadow of Liverpool's docklands, where the Mersey River carried the weight of a city's decline, William John Moore, known to all as Billy, came into a world that offered little warmth. Born in the late 1970s, Billy grew up in the early 1980s, a time when Liverpool was battered by poverty, unemployment, and riots. The Toxteth riots of 1981 left scars on the streets, with burned-out cars and shattered shop windows, a constant reminder of a city at war with itself. Liverpool in the 80s was no place for a child's dreams. It was a city of clenched fists and broken spirits, where survival meant fighting. Fighting for respect, for a meal, for a place to belong. For young Billy Moore, home was no refuge, it was a battlefield of its own. Billy's home was a cramped terraced house in Toxteth, where the air was thick with tension. His father, a volatile man with a taste for whiskey, ruled with an iron fist. "Big men don't cry," he'd snarl, his breath heavy with alcohol, as he loomed over a trembling Billy. Love was a foreign concept, empathy, a luxury the Moore family couldn't afford. Billy's mother, worn down by years of hardship, was distant, her eyes dulled by the grind of survival. "I didn't feel like I belonged," Billy later recalled, his voice raw with the ache of memory. "There was no one to hold me, no one to tell me I was okay." At school, Billy was a loner, his small frame and quiet demeanor making him a target for bullies. The playground was a proving ground where fists settled disputes and weakness was a sin. By age 10, Billy had learned to fight back, his knuckles bruised from scraps with older boys. "I had to be tough," he said. "If you weren't, you were nothing." But the fights outside were nothing compared to the ones at home. His father's drunken rages often ended with Billy curled up in a corner, nursing bruises and swallowing tears. Crying was weakness, his father would bellow. "Get up and fight like a man." At 12, desperate for an escape, Billy found solace in a local boxing club. The gym, a dingy basement filled with the smell of sweat and leather, became his sanctuary. The rhythmic thud of gloves against pads drowned out the chaos of his life. "When I was in the ring," Billy said, "I felt alive, like I could be somebody." His coach, a grizzled ex-boxer named Tommy, saw potential in the scrawny kid with fire in his eyes. "You've got heart, Billy," Tommy told him. "Keep at it and you'll go places." For the first time, Billy felt seen, his dreams of becoming a champion boxer taking root. Boxing gave Billy Moore a purpose, a flicker of light in a dark world. But in a city like Liverpool, the line between hope and despair is thin. For Billy, a single wrong turn would send him spiraling into a darkness he couldn't escape. By 14, Billy was a promising amateur boxer, winning local matches and earning respect in the gym. But outside its walls, the streets of Liverpool were a siren's call. The city was awash with drugs, weed, cocaine, and heroin flowing through its veins like poison. Older lads on street corners offered Billy a joint, a quick escape from the pain of home. "It made me forget," he said. "For a little while, I didn't feel so alone." What started as a puff here and there became a habit. And by his 16th birthday, Billy was chasing a darker high. Heroin, or smack as the street kids called it, took hold of him. It was like a warm blanket, he recalled. Everything bad just melted away.
The grip of addiction.
Billy's descent was swift and brutal. Heroin became his master, dictating his every move. The boxing gym faded into memory as he spent his days on street corners, hustling for cash to feed his addiction. "I stopped being Billy the Boxer," he said. "I was just another junkie." The streets of Liverpool became his world, a blur of petty theft, break-ins, and violence. He stole from shops, burgled homes, and even robbed a corner store at knife point, his hands shaking from withdrawal. "I hated myself," he admitted, "but I couldn't stop."
Addiction is a thief. It steals your dreams, your dignity, your soul. For Billy Moore, it took everything: his family, his future, his sense of self. By his early 20s, he was a ghost, haunting the streets he once called home. But the law was closing in, and Billy's luck was running out. Between 1995 and 2005, Billy was in and out of prison, serving short sentences for theft, burglary, and assault. Each stint behind bars was a wake-up call, but the pull of heroin was stronger.
"Prison was just a pause," he said. "I'd get out and it'd start all over again."
By his late 20s, Billy was alone. No family, no friends, no hope. His parents had cut him off. His old boxing mates had moved on, and the streets offered no comfort.
"I was lonely,"
he said, his voice breaking.
"I had nothing."
In 2004, at 29, Billy hit rock bottom. After a near-fatal overdose, he stumbled into a rehab clinic in Liverpool, a last-ditch effort to save himself. The 6-month program was grueling: group therapy, detox, and facing the pain he'd buried for years. But it worked.
"I started to see a way out," he said. "I wanted to live again."
By early 2005, Billy was 18 months clean, free from drugs and alcohol. He was ready to start over, to chase a new dream far from Liverpool's shadows, the promise of Thailand.
With his savings from odd jobs, Billy bought a one-way ticket to Thailand, drawn by tales of its vibrant culture and endless possibilities. "I had this fantasy," he said. "I'd learn the language, adopt the culture, maybe meet the woman of my dreams." In March 2005, he landed in Chiang Mai, a city alive with color and chaos. Chiang Mai was a world away from Liverpool's gray streets. Temples gleamed under the sun, markets buzzed with life, and the air carried the scent of jasmine and street food. For Billy Moore, it was a chance to reinvent himself. But paradise has a way of hiding its dangers, and Billy was about to discover just how seductive those dangers could be. Chiang Mai overwhelmed Billy's senses. The heat, the noise, the crowds, it was like nothing he'd ever known. He rented a small room in a hostel on North Street, living frugally on beans on toast and cheap street food. To support himself, he took a job showboxing at a local bar, a gimmick where he'd spar with tourists for tips. "I'd walk around with a little box that said tips," he said. "It paid for my room, my food, my bike. I felt like I was achieving something." For the first time in years, Billy felt a spark of pride, a sense that he could build a new life. One night at the bar, under the glow of neon lights, Billy saw her, Nina, a Thai woman with a radiant smile and eyes that seemed to see right through him. "I'm Billy," he said, extending a hand. "Nina," she replied, her voice warm. They talked for hours, Billy pouring out his story, Liverpool, his troubled childhood, his battle with addiction. Nina listened, her presence calming him in a way he hadn't felt before. When she hugged him, it was like a dam broke. "No one had held me like that," he said, "not since I was a kid." Nina was more than a woman to Billy. She was a lifeline, a promise that he could be loved, that he could belong. But love, like paradise, comes with a price. And in Chiang Mai's shadows, a temptation was waiting, one that would pull Billy back into the darkness he'd fought so hard to escape.
The madness drug.
Billy and Nina became inseparable, spending days exploring Chiang Mai's temples and nights dancing under the stars. She became his unofficial tour guide, showing him hidden markets and quiet riverside spots. But something nagged at Billy. Nina would disappear on weekends, her phone switched off, her explanations vague. "What are you hiding?" he finally asked, his voice tight with suspicion. Nina's eyes dropped. "I'm married," she admitted. "I've been trying to find a way to tell you." In that moment, Billy Moore's world shattered. The woman he loved, the future he'd imagined, was a lie. The pain of rejection took him back to his childhood, to the father who never loved him, to the streets that broke him. And in that pain, an old enemy returned, whispering promises of escape. Devastated, Billy turned to alcohol, the familiar burn of whiskey dulling his heartache. One drink became two, then a bottle. "I just wanted to feel nothing," he said. But alcohol wasn't enough. At a seedy bar, a woman offered him a pink tablet, yaba, a cheap mix of methamphetamine and caffeine, known as the madness drug. Billy hesitated, his 18 months of sobriety hanging in the balance. "What's it gonna do to me?" he asked. "It'll keep you awake," she said. "Make you feel alive." He took it, and the rush was instant. "I could hear a pin drop 5 miles away," he recalled. "I was focused, alert, unstoppable." Yaba became Billy's new addiction, its grip tighter than heroin. He smoked it daily, the drug fueling his days and nights. "It was like I didn't need Nina anymore," he said. "Yaba was my company." But the drug was expensive, and Billy's savings dwindled. Desperate, he met Pei Long, a local dealer with a bag of Yaba tablets and a proposition. "Sell these for me," Pei Long said. "You keep a cut. Use as much as you want." Billy knew it was dangerous, but the promise of free drugs was too strong. "Let's do it," he said, shaking Pei Long's hand. With those 3 words, Billy Moore stepped back into the abyss. He wasn't just using anymore. He was dealing, building a small empire on the streets of Chiang Mai. But every empire has its enemies, and Billy was about to learn that no one outruns the law forever.
The Fall.
For months, Billy thrived as a dealer, selling yaba to tourists and locals alike. He used burner phones to stay ahead of the police, moving between Chiang Mai's bars and clubs. The money was good, $2,000 for 500 pills, and Billy lived like he never had before, eating at upscale restaurants and partying until dawn. "I felt like a king," he said, but deep down, I knew it was wrong. The paranoia crept in. Yaba's psychosis convincing him that everyone knew his name, that enemies were watching his every move. One morning in 2006, a phone call woke him. It was Gary, a fellow showboxer. "I've got your boxing gear," Gary said. "Meet me at your apartment." Something felt off, but Billy brushed it aside. Minutes later, police stormed his apartment, their boots thundering on the floor. Panicked, Billy stuffed his stash of yaba tablets where no one would look, inside his body. There was no pain, he said, just fear. The police tore through his room, finding nothing but a stack of burner phones. "These are stolen," an officer barked, hauling Billy to the station. Billy thought he dodged a bullet. No drugs, just phones. A fine, maybe a night in jail. But Chiang Mai prison was waiting, a place where hope went to die. And Billy was about to face a nightmare that would test every ounce of his strength. At Chiang Mai prison, Billy was strip-searched, forced to squat 10 times to ensure he wasn't hiding anything. "I was clenching so hard," he said, terrified those pills would fall out. He made it through, but the prison was a hellscape. Overcrowded, filthy, and ruled by violence, it was a place where life meant nothing. On his first night, Billy slept next to a dead inmate, a blanket over the man's face. "He died Monday," another prisoner said casually. "They haven't moved him yet." Billy was horrified. "This place was a death sentence," he said.
The Fight for Survival.
Billy's 3-year sentence for stolen phones felt like a lifetime. The prison's regime was relentless. Whistles dictated every move from meals to roll call. Yaba became his crutch, smuggled in and smoked in secret to dull the fear and despair. But the drug only deepened his paranoia, his mind conjuring enemies in every shadow. One day he witnessed a brutal murder in the prison yard. A young inmate stabbed repeatedly, his screams echoing in Billy's nightmares. "I couldn't help him," Billy said. "If I'd stepped in, it'd be me on the floor." In Chiang Mai prison, Billy Moore was surrounded by death, despair, and his own demons. The man who once dreamed of being a champion was now a shadow, clinging to a drug that was killing him. But in the darkness, a spark of his old self remained, a fighter who refused to give up. One day, Billy stumbled across the prison's boxing gym, a makeshift ring where inmates trained. The sight of gloves and pads stirred something in him. "I remembered who I was," he said, "the kid who felt alive in the ring." He begged the coach, Nan, for a chance. Nan, a tough but kind man, saw the desperation in Billy's eyes. "Okay," he said, tossing Billy a pair of gloves. Training was grueling, but it gave Billy focus. He stopped using yaba, the pain of withdrawal outweighed by the thrill of the ring. "Boxing was saving me," he said. "It was a fight for my life."
The fight that changed everything.
Nan became more than a coach to Billy. He was the father figure Billy never had. "He believed in me," Billy said. No one had ever done that. When Nan offered Billy a chance to fight Pawn, the prison's best boxer, Billy seized it. "I needed to prove I wasn't just a junkie," he said. The fight was brutal. Pawn's fists relentless, but Billy fought with everything he had. "It wasn't about him," Billy said. "It was about me, beating the part of me that wanted to give up." In that ring, Billy Moore found something he'd lost long ago, himself. He didn't just fight Pawn. He fought his past, his pain, his addiction. And when the final bell rang, Billy was still standing, a man reborn. The fight changed Billy. He trained daily, his body and mind growing stronger. He began helping other inmates, standing up to bullies and sharing his food. "I wanted to be better," he said. "Not just for me, but for them." 2 years into his sentence, Billy received news that shattered his world again. He was being transferred back to the UK. "I didn't know if I was ready," he said. "But I knew I couldn't go back to who I was."
A new beginning.
Back in the UK, Billy was released after a short stint in a British prison. He settled in a quiet town, far from Liverpool's temptations. The scars of his past remained, but he was determined to build a new life. He started a podcast, sharing his story and listening to others, finding purpose in helping those who felt as lost as he once did. "I'd been through hell," he said. "If I could help one person avoid that, it was worth it." In 2010, Billy met Sarah, a kind-hearted woman who saw the man beneath the scars. They married, and in 2012, their son, Albie, was born. "He's my miracle," Billy said, his voice choking with emotion. "I tell him every day I love him, that he's going to be okay. Everything I never had." Albie became Billy's reason to keep fighting, to stay clean, to be the father he never had. Billy Moore's journey is a testament to the human spirit. From the streets of Liverpool to the horrors of Chiang Mai prison, he faced his demons and emerged stronger. He's not a hero or a villain, just a man who refused to let his past define him. Today, he lives for his family, his podcast, and the chance to give others hope.
A legacy of redemption.
One day, Billy received an email from Nina. "I'm happy," she wrote. "I hope you are too." The words brought tears to his eyes. "Knowing she was okay set me free," he said. Billy continued his work, speaking at rehab centers and prisons, sharing his story of survival. "I've done wrong," he said, "but I've also done right, and I'll keep doing right." Billy Moore's story is a mirror reflecting our own struggles, our own choices. Can we judge him for the mistakes he made, or do we honor the man he became? His life asks us to look within, to ask what it means to fight, to fall, and to rise again. For Billy, the fight continues, not in the ring, but in the quiet moments of love, forgiveness, and hope. And that, perhaps, is his greatest victory.